Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous, with me, Bregaton. Let's go speak to an architect.
Greetings.
A stately shadow comes toward you. In its hands, a small mirror sparkles and shimmers with an unsettling light.
Greetings, Commander.
The dredge called the suture grins as he shifts clumsily from foot to foot in a crude attempt at a courtly bow. Yeah, we're a paladin. Following me again, I see. Watch yourself, scum.
Set aside your animosity. You descended into the abyss for a specific goal, and you are close to that goal. I am here to tell you about Nihindrian crystals, and your enemies, and more besides. You have walked a long path, one where shadows constantly flicker at the edge of your vision, and questions multiply like flies above carrion. It is time for answers, at least some of them.
Areelu lifts her mirror, and you fall into its cold, shimmering depths.
Day 16, Aridus 4715. Experiment, transformation. Subject, let's skip that. Objective, to embed the essence of a Nihindrian crystal in the soul of the subject. Expected result, the essence will coalesce with the subject's soul, which will ready itself for total transformation, triggering the concomitant powers. The time has come to put my plan into action. You are my creation. Your power was my gift. Now you know.
Areelu stares at you, her gaze unrelenting, probing. The witch is silent for a long time. When she speaks, her voice is unreadable, betraying no emotion. You won't make me believe this lie.
And what do you believe? That your power comes from Iomade or one of the other gods?
Areelu gives you a thin, cold smile.
Ah, such special memories. Remember the laboratory, do you? I told you back then. Go on, look around. See all the ones Lady Areelu worked on. Here with us is definitely the place for you.
The dredge grins in satisfaction. The unseen angel does not speak, but its silence seems to thunder in your ears.
Your power is of the same kind as that of Nulkineth, Jeribeth, and the other demons that you have met. The power of the Nihindrian crystal dissolved into the blood lies within your soul. I have already hinted at this to you once before, when I left the essence along with the lexicon of paradox in my old laboratory, and ordered the suture to make sure the gift found its way into your hands. But there is more. Do you remember when you were taken to Canobris with a wound that would not heal? Do you remember how Terendelev apparently healed you? That was merely an illusion. The dragon was only able to temporarily dull the pain. In fact, it was I who saved you, when I came to you in the caves and implanted a crystal within you. No, saved is not the right word. Your wound is still not healed. That is why your wound weeps blood from time to time, every drop of which burns your enemies.
As if to confirm her words, blood begins to seep from the wound on your chest. Eerie flames seem to dance within the crimson drops.
This is pure essence of Nihindrian crystal. My invention is far superior to the crystals used by Xanther, which were barely refined at all. It will give you new strength, and help you to overcome the wound that still slumbers within your soul. Take it. Take it, and you will see that this is the very power that has lived in you since the Battle of Kenabris.
With an elegant flick of her wrist, Areelu conjures a familiar purple shimmer in the air before her.
Not much of a threat. Look at me. Before you know it, I'll be a decrepit heap of flesh just like so. But I still managed to keep living somehow.
Ulbrich doesn't say a word. You notice his pale face, his clenched teeth, and extended claws on his fingers. That's not going to work. You need to tell me everything first.
Very well, then. Ask your questions, and I will answer.
Areelu winces slightly, but quickly regains her composure. What is this wound in my soul? How dangerous is it?
It was my mistake. My failure. I failed to... The tale is too long to recount here. Your wound is a reflection of the world wound, in a way. It is very dangerous, even if you do not yet realize it. It is not a disease, but rather an abscess, which will one day burst and kill you. It cannot fully be healed until the world wound is healed.
A shadow falls across Areelu's face.
No doubt you have felt this affliction on several occasions. It awakens when you use your power. It makes you sense more strongly what mortals call the corruption of the abyss. Until the world wound is healed, you will have no peace.
You followed me.
Like a witch in a fairy tale, I watched over you from birth. From before that, even. And I kept detailed notes. You were chosen and prepared for a special destiny. I am pleased to see that you still wear them. I enchanted them specially to protect you from danger. I am glad you found my gift useful.
Areelu's eyes drop to your bracers, the ones inscribed with your name. That's why I've kept those equipped this whole time. It just gives you some extra dialogue here, and it might play a role... It has another purpose, I'm pretty sure. But I don't remember what. It might be tied to the secret ending.
Aside from this, I helped you, even when you were unaware of my presence. I saved you and your unfortunate companions when you fell into the crevice in Kenabris. In the Grey Garrison, it was I who distracted Minago to allow you to approach the Wardstone. And in Dresden, I appeared under the guise of Yoniel to guide you toward the Sword of Valor.
Yes, if you remember, when we attacked the Wardstone the second time, the assault in the Grey Garrison, where we liberated Kenabris, Minago thought Iomedae had cast an illusion to let us sneak into the Wardstone and get behind her. It was actually Areelu Vorlesh. So, actually, Areelu's admitting to everything that we had attributed to the gods at this point, which I think is a huge part of her story. She's very defiant of the gods, which normally I'd appreciate in a game, but as a lawful good paladin, that worships Iomedae, I probably shouldn't.
And I also left you a present in my old laboratory, and told the Suture to see that you received it. I knew that sooner or later you would find your way there. That place exerts a powerful pull.
Don't expect thanks for your help. You're a scheming liar and an enemy. You'll die at my hand, sooner or later.
Thanks. That is what you think I expect? Without me, you would not even exist. However, we will revisit this subject some other time.
Areelu's eyes flash. Why was that whole ploy with the lab necessary? You're ready to sacrifice your servant, the Suture, for it.
You always have to sacrifice something. I wanted you to go to the laboratory to see with your own eyes what I had been doing and what I am capable of, so it would be easier for you to accept the truth. The laboratory is the place where I prepared your ascent. and the Suture was the only one who I could trust to execute my plan and explain everything. After all, he too once experienced rebirth at my hands, and that is why I was willing to risk his life.
A shadow falls across Areelu's face. All you know is trickery and deceit. How can I trust you?
Honesty is a luxury we cannot often afford. I don't expect you to understand this now, but at least try to remember it for the future.
Tell me about Nahindrian crystals. Start from the beginning.
Nahindrian crystals are formed from the solidified blood of demon lords. Their properties are not well known, even among the inhabitants of the Abyss, and there are reasons for this. Acquiring the blood of a dead demon lord is very difficult. After a demon lord dies, their body is instantly absorbed into the Rift of Repose. Only the Lady in Shadow knows how to kill them in a way that allows her to preserve the bodies of her fellow lords and transform them into a solid state. That means that Nahindrian crystals cannot be obtained anywhere other than the Midnight Isles. Or rather, it was impossible until recently, when I managed to experimentally obtain a crystal from the blood of a still living lord. You saw the result. A dagger made from Discare's freshly shed blood, which I left for you in Canabris. As regards the use of the crystals, that is a discussion that would take time, a very long time. Someday I will finish my groundbreaking treatise on the transformation of Nahindrian crystals, although it is unlikely I will ever publish it.
So you figured out how to use the crystals to imbue living creatures with power.
Not just any creatures, demons and half-demons. The soul must have a stable connection with the Abyss in order for it to receive the power of the crystal. Experiments involving tieflings and mongrels failed because the voice of the Abyss was not strong enough within them.
But I'm not a demon.
I wasn't a demon either when I started. But there are always ways to circumvent, or even to override the laws of the universe.
Areelu's eyes grow distant for a moment.
I changed myself by knitting my soul together with the essence of the Abyss. And I changed you. Do you remember the fits of rage that began shortly after Discare's attack on Canabris? This is how the second half of your soul manifested itself. Not yet fully aware. Not yet awakened. It's a pity you did not choose to let your demonic nature take hold. The result would have been most impressive. All those arrogant crusaders, those knights with their eyes ablaze, those pious priests. They have installed at the head of their magnificent army a scion of the Abyss, the creation of the architect of the world wound, whom they so revile.
It's strange to see you here in Nocticula's palace. Who do you really serve? Discare? Baphomet?
Both. And neither. I have served both Discare and Baphomet, and not merely as the lowest in the pecking order. But I do not think you'll be surprised when I tell you that to me, both of these mighty lords are merely convenient temporary sources of power. And their time is almost at an end. But the Lady in Shadow is different. She is the preeminent ruler. Soon you will understand this for yourself.
Areelu's tone is indifferent as she informs you of this, as if she were simply commenting on the weather, rather than her obeisance before demon lords. My power is different from that of Jerebith, Nolkanith, and the other demons.
Yes, because I taught Xanther and the other servants of Baphomet and Discare the earliest version of this transformation ritual. I spent decades perfecting it until I obtained the power that I gave to you. Power in its most purified form, cleansed of the filth and chaos inherent within the original blood of the demon lords. Your power is as pure as thrice distilled water. But it resonates with other powerful sources of supernatural power, such as the Sword of Valor. And your power can change. You must have realized this already. You have shaped my gift into a form that you yourself have chosen. You are seeking answers, trying to understand the crux of the matter. That is good.
Areelu gives you an appraising look. What I want to know is this. What do you want from me?
Patience. Before we continue, I want you to receive your power.
Areelu nods at the glowing essence. Refuse the power. I won't eat out of your hand, Areelu, even if it makes me weaker. I get more powerful anyway. Get bent. You channel all of your power into these words, and strangely, you feel a surge of power within you in response. You turn down what Areelu Vorlesh offered you, and your whole being embraces that choice. A wave of cold washes over your chest, and the open wound becomes smaller, as if your decision compelled it to shrink.
That effect. How unexpected. It deserves to be studied, but I will see to that later.
Areelu warily draws back her hand, and the swirl of glowing essence disappears.
Enough! Enough of this madness! I was blind. O Lady of Heaven, how blind I was. I saw holiness in the half-fiend's creation.
Even after I just refused that power. The voice of the Hand of the Inheritor thunders beside you. Areelu does not move, seemingly unaware of his presence.
But is it truly possible? Angelic light in a creature of darkness? Am I tricking myself into thinking that I have been deceived? Forgive me, champion. I must leave you. I must collect myself. Pray. Reflect. Find me in the Nexus.
There's no life in the angel's voice. He adds dully, and disappears. So that's a little different. I think because we're on the angel mythic path, he's a lot more forgiving than he normally would be.
I want to help you close the world wound.
Areelu looks at you for a while, then she speaks. Areelu's words are cut off by a quiet laugh. Sitting on the throne that was empty just a moment ago is none other than Nocticula, ruler of Elusionara and the Midnight Isles, a powerful demon lord, and the one they call Our Lady in Shadow. Her red lips curl into an ironic smile, and her large eyes observe you with keen interest.
You were about to say, we are going to close the world wound, weren't you, Areelu? I see no reason to continue deceiving this mortal. Now I am convinced that he is quite worthy of serving me. I will even reward him with a modicum of knowledge about the events in which he is about to take part.
Reach for your weapon. A word of warning. Don't play games with me. I'm not afraid to fight you.
Do I truly frighten you so, mortal? That you must reach for your weapon? Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you.
She arches an eyebrow sarcastically.
I have had my eye on you for a very long time. You see, it was at my behest that Lady Vorlesh imbued you with such incredible powers. But I was curious to see your worth as an individual, not as Lady Vorlesh's creation. Thus, I decided to postpone our meeting and see how you'd fare in Alashanira, and whether or not you could win respect and power among those not so easily impressed by outstanding magical abilities. Well, you've passed my test adequately, by proving that your character and your will are stronger than the Nehindrian powers Lady Vorlesh has vested in you.
You are wise, my lady. However, only those who have never known or forgotten what it is like to be mortal can so easily dismiss the importance of power. To be someone whose life is fragile and can be cut short at any moment, like a candle snuffed out by a gust of wind.
It is a shame your angel has left you, mortal. I would have liked to talk to him. I don't expect I will get another chance, as that celestial buffoon's days are numbered.
Nocticula's tone is casual, but her eyes are intent, scrutinizing you. Be able to see the Hand of the Inheritor, despite all his enchantments.
The herald of that upstart goddess? Here.
Areelu tilts her head slightly.
Yes, although his defenses were quite intricate. A commendable precaution on his part, as word of the hand of the Inheritor descending once more into the abyss reached the Echo of Discari almost immediately. Mind you, vindictiveness and guile have always been among his best qualities.
Yeah, so this is interesting, because of what happens in Nocticula at the end of the game. The Hand of the Inheritor told me his magic deceived the eyes of all evil spawn of the Abyss, but not yours.
Perhaps you don't know everything about me yet, mortal. Perhaps you made the same mistake as many before you, and many who were more insightful and more powerful than you, by presuming to know what to expect from the Lady in Shadow.
Nocticula gives you a pleased and mysterious smile. Tell me about the Echo of Discari.
He is a strange creature, a bespoke creation, so to speak. Long before the world wound was opened, Discari, that little cricket, was seeking a way to have some fun on Galarian and assert his influence there. One day, he decided to gather a few strong mortal followers, fuse them together into one being, and pump that being full of his own power, in the belief that something worthwhile would come of it. That is how the Echo came to be. To the great dismay of both the Echo and the Lord of Crickets, the Echo was greeted by Areelu, protector of humankind. Areelu gave the Echo such a thorough thrashing, the whole Abyss thought him dead. And yet he was not. Cricket, the younger, is alive and well, though I cannot say the same for Areelu. But the Echo remembers his humiliation still. He hates anything and everything related to Areelu, especially his inheritor, Iomedae. Her heralds, her priests, her temples. He would hate Iomedae's pet pug, if she had one.
Why does the Echo of Discari prey upon the Hand of the Inheritor?
Envy, humiliation, ego. The usual playthings of little boys from all planes and realities. The Echo suffered more than one defeat, first at Areden's hand, then under the onslaught of the forces of heaven. Those routes taught him to attack his enemies by stealth, boldly and often, killing and crippling anyone close to the light-bringing goddess. Now, it seems, he has decided the time has come. The Herald of Iomedae himself is in the Abyss alone, without a retinue of lesser angels.
Well, kind of. Nocticula shrugs, her expression bored. I see.
He's an interesting little bird, that angel. Before he became the Herald of Iomedae, he served Regathiel, the General of Vengeance. I've always found the fate of that Imperial Lord to be quite fascinating. Did you know that the father of the Upper Plains' top military leader was a devil from hell? Regathiel had to achieve many feats to redeem his unholy legacy in the eyes of the other Imperial Lords. But he did. A remarkable tale, is it not?
Your conversation is interrupted by a concerned-looking succubus, who silently approaches Nocticula, then begins fervently whispering into her ear. Nocticula's expression turns hard and cold. As Nocticula ponders a new development, the messenger makes eyes at you playfully. You recognize those green eyes, except they were awash with pain when you last saw them, though they're bleeding out in the caverns of the Nexus. The succubus smiles slyly and gives you a wink.
Another island, another loss. Enough! I warned them that I would not stand for the desolation of my realm. They have not heeded me, and they will regret it. Go to your sisters, and tell them to prepare.
There is steel in Nocticula's voice. Nocticula sends the green-eyed servant away, and turns her face to you once again. That green-eyed succubus. I know her.
Yes, you've already met Laulia, my talented assistant. I've heard she was very convincing at acting out her tragic death in the minds of the Nexus. As you can see, I've been watching you since your very first moments in the Abyss. And even a little earlier. I have prepared a beautiful intrigue that will topple many of your enemies and seal the world wound forever, ending the threat to Galarian. And you have the chance to become part of that intrigue.
My companion, Ember, would like to speak with you.
Ember? So that's her then? Well, approach. I have heard you bleating your pathetic prayers at me. You have some nerve addressing me with such nonsense. Did you think I would simply repent? Renounce my status as a demon lord? Do you have any idea what I had to do to acquire it? Wait, what is this?
Cocking an eyebrow, Nocticula looks down on her. Tears are rolling down Ember's cheeks as she sniffles noisily. She presses her maimed hands against her heart as she stares up at Nocticula. Her fragile form shudders from weeping. Areelu wrinkles her nose in disdain. Why have you brought this simpleton here? This is Elushanira, not Nerosian. We don't give alms here.
I can't stand these noises. Do you think you're the first to try to move me with a display of tears? It only makes me angry. If you wish to speak, then wipe your nose and speak clearly.
Nocticula throws a disgusted look at the crying girl.
I know what you had to do to others and to yourself. I'm so sorry. So sorry. If only I could ease your pain somehow. Calm your sorrows.
Ember wipes her face with her sleeve. She believes that, deep down, everyone is good. Even creatures that are evil by nature.
I don't know what nature is and don't care a whit about cosmic good and evil. They are but labels thought up by philosophers. I know what power is. Pleasure. Desire. All this childish babble merely amuses me. Nothing more. So, where were we? My pain? My sorrows? What nonsense are you talking? Don't tell me you pity me.
I'm so sorry. You're the most miserable soul I've ever seen. I've seen people burned alive. People being devoured by monsters. People burying their children. They were in pain. So much pain. But I've never seen anyone in as much pain as you.
After taking a trembling breath, Ember wipes a tear streaming down her face.
What is this saccharine drivel? What do you even know of me, Nat?
I've seen your city. You were the one who built it. It is the way you wanted it to be. It holds all of your dreams, all of your heart, and everyone in this city is suffering. Everywhere, all the time, every minute. All who live here are hurting and scared. If these are its citizens, how miserable must its ruler feel?
And this is what you brought her to me for. You think this infantile sniveling is worthy of my attention?
Nocticula's lip curls in distaste. I'm gonna get the lawful option for my paladin. It also works as a taunt in a way to spite her. I doubt you'll be able to understand her message. You're a demon. Of course speeches about goodness make no sense to you.
I am first and foremost myself. All who told me who I should be came to regret it. Leave it to windbag scholars to waffle on about how evil is unable to fathom the path of good. I may be a demon lord, but I understand perfectly well what goodness is. I understand it, and I despise it. So, what do you suggest I do, preacher? Beg the good gods' forgiveness? Devote myself to serving a sword-swinging upstart, perchance? Or that old crone, the moon?
Nocticula stares at Ember straight in the face. Sorry, stares, not stares at.
No. Gods can't help anyone. They're just like us mortals. Silly, frightened, clueless. You're almost goddess yourself. You know better than anyone that no one can save you. No one except you.
Save me? From what exactly?
From yourself. From what you've done to yourself. From the city you've imprisoned yourself in. Listen! You are a queen, but you're the queen of pain and filth. Your realm is a realm of your own suffering. You're almost a goddess. You can do anything you want. So why won't you make yourself happy? You could become the Redeemer Queen.
And notice it's capitalized already. Amber's voice rings desperately.
Oh, the Redeemer Queen. That's new. Never in all my years have I heard anything like that. Well, child, enough joking. Get out of my sight, or I'm afraid I might decide to keep you here forever as my fool.
Tilting her head back, Nocticula explodes with wild laughter. Her body is shaking. She doubles over, slapping her thighs with her palms. When she is finally done laughing, she catches her breath. She wipes the tears from her eyes.
Do you think she took my words to heart?
Upon giving Nocticula one last smile, Ember ducks behind your back. You hear her whispering. Probably.
That would be great.
I told you to get out! I don't want to hear your squeaky voice again!
Did Areelu really create me? She certainly had a hand in your present state of existence. Lady Vorlesh designed the World Wound, the magical phenomenon of unfathomable power. To seal it, we required a key that was just as strong and unique. Simply put, we required a champion, and she chose you. Both your powers and that of the wound on your chest were the result of her experiments, when she infused your soul with the essence of the Abyss. Of course, you remember none of that. Everything was done in secret. Even the power granted to you was purified, to the extent that it was possible, so that you would not guess its source ahead of time. In trial after trial, we watched your will be tempered, and when the time came, we started filling you with the energies of Nahindran crystals. These energies are necessary for the task at hand. Everything that's happened to you was part of my intrigue. I was going to summon you and reveal the truth when the time was right. Instead, you have followed your queen's orders and arrived here early. One can only hope that you're prepared to accept the truth. Everything has its price, says Areelu quickly. Your wound was, in essence, the flip side of all my experiments. There's a reason why we required a true champion, not merely a living tool whom we could fling into the flames of the world wound, and close it like any lesser rift. I think you should know that. Nocticula makes a sudden gesture, cutting Areelu off. Don't be too hasty. We have burdened him with enough revelations for now. Give him time to become accustomed to the truth about himself, then he can share all the details. What exactly are you offering me? I'm offering you the chance to become my weapon. Your enemies are a thorn in my side as well as yours. What's more, I have never schemed against Golarion, nor have my warriors taken part in the conquest of your plane. At least not at my behest. There is no cause for enmity between us. Why would you want to close the wound? When the world wound opened, I was pleased. My realm was now connected to another plane. I wanted to make it into a crossroads of worlds. A place where demons, devils, and even angels could meet. The wound was a convenient path along which I could advance my ideas. But the Midnight Isles were not the only realm that had been linked to Golarion through the wound. The Skari and Baphomet now also had a way from their realms into your plane. Their servants flooded my islands and sprouted across them, like a plague of locusts, killing guests who were under my protection, questioning my rule. They were driven by their lust to conquer and enslave, whether in Golarion or in another abyssal realm. I was forced to shift my focus and express my discontent. Eventually, atop the bones of our servants, we reached an accord. I would let their armies pass, and they would comply with my wishes while on my islands. Of course, the Accord is a polite fiction. Both the Deskarites and the Baphomets are attempting to amass their power and influence an Illusionaira to overthrow me. When they think I'm not watching, they break my taboos and revel in their own impudence. And worst of all, Lady Vorlesh told them about the Nahindran crystals. They realize what kind of power the crystals hold, and now they are determined to mine every last deposit hidden within my islands. And once an island loses its crystals, it becomes nothing but flotsam, slowly sinking into the dark waters of Ishiar. With every lost island, my power is diminished. I could start a war and kill the plunderers, but a major conflict would hinder some of my other plans. So instead, I'll teach my neighbors a lesson by orchestrating their ignominious defeat at the hands of a mortal. What do I gain by serving you? A reasonable question. One must always serve one's own interests. Well, rest assured that you will be adequately rewarded. I will give you gifts befitting your ambitions, and my patronage, which you can certainly count on, will prove more valuable than any enchanted trinkets you could dream up. Someone's feeling generous. While we're at it, might as well ask for immortality, Aridin like divine powers, and pockets full of sweet pies, right? Nocticula lets out a condescending laugh. I can grant you immortality as well. If you think I will only reward the commander for his service, you're mistaken. I could grant every one of you whatever you desire most. You, underground hunter. Would you like me to rid you of the curse of short life that haunts your tribe? So your eyes don't grow weak in 5 years, and your arms remain strong. I would love that, but I'll have to pass. I don't know what price demons demand for favors like that, but I'm sure I've got nothing to pay with. I'd rather die honestly, whenever my time comes, than live with the debt around my neck. If you're so powerful, why do you need me? If I were to make a move myself, it would start a war. Not that I'm afraid of doing so, but it would hamper my more important plans. Baphomet and Discari could never best me, but they could sow enough chaos and spill enough blood that visitors from other planes would shudder at the mention of Illusionaira. No, I will wage war on my own terms, and the shadows, and I will remain unseen until I drive my blade into my enemy's back. And since Galfrey has happened to send you to my realm, you have the honor of becoming my blade, mortal. Be glad you're wielded by skillful hands. We should also reveal how exactly our blade will be employed. Nocticula silences Areelu with a sharp gesture. We could discuss the details later, when the moment is right. Now is not the time for idle conversation. So you notice that Areelu she's being somewhat protective of us, but Nocticula is using us just as a tool. How exactly do you plan to close the world wound? She rolls her eyes. It is a complicated magical process. You will receive precise instructions once you've captured the Threshold Fortress on Golarion. There, at the exact spot where Lady Vorlesh opened the world wound, you will be able to close it. But how? Is it really complicated, or does it require more than she might think we might be willing to give? But first you have to crush the Guardians of Threshold, and their forces are growing by the day. Hepsimira, Baphomet's daughter, is mining a large number of Nahindran crystals in my realm. These crystals are her secret weapon. No army in Golarion can stand against them. You must stop Hepsimira. If you do not, the world will fall, and my plans will suffer significant harm. At one time, I disclosed the secret of transformation to 2 servants of Baphomet and Discari, Xanther Vang and Mutasophan. It was a well-calculated gambit, which bought us time and assured both Discari and Baphomet of my loyalty. Mutasophan is Hepsimira's favorite. He oversees the transformation of her army. Hepsimira is currently on another island far from here. The route to that place is plagued by pirates, monsters, tempests, and other more terrifying dangers. Have you heard of the living bubbles of frozen time that swallow airships? When the ship reaches port, or when the ships reach port, their crews discover they've been gone for 100 years. That is not the strangest occurrence you could encounter on your journey, but it might be the most prominent one. I'm willing to provide you with a decent ship and an experienced crew. If you kill Hepsimira, it will stop her sinking any more of my islands, but without giving Baphomet cause to declare war on me. Sela winks at you. So what do you think, Commander? Personally, I'd rather take my chances rowing to this another island far from here, in a rusty bucket, than make any deals with the Lady in Shadow. I'll steer. Why is it so important to kill Hepsamira? The Scar and Baphomet won't just stand there and watch you close the world wound. They'll send their armies after you, so you need an army of your own. That is something the Crusaders won't have for long. Hepsamira is mining more and more Nahindrian crystals to empower her forces when she attacks Galarian. If you don't stop her, the Crusader resistance will be crushed, and the ranks of demons pouring through the world wound into your world will multiply 100-fold. You're sent here to cut off the demon army's supply of Nahindrian crystals, weren't you? Well, that's exactly what you're going to accomplish. I won't help you. Then help yourself. So long as the world wound exists, your soul will not heal. And there's only one path to closing it. A path which leads directly over Hepsamira's corpse. Nocticula breaks into laughter, then fixes you with a lingering look that is not one of anger or contempt. Am I asking for your help? I'm the one who's helping you. If you don't do what I need you to do, you'll die from your wound sooner or later, and nobody will be able to cure it. You still don't understand. We both want Hepsamira dead, and her plans ruined. Even if you are too proud to accept my aid, even if you leave here, you'll still be moving toward your goal. A goal that serves my interests as well. So you have no choice, really. You cannot swim all the way to the other end of my realm, where your enemy awaits. I'm offering to help you, and demanding nothing in return. There is no reason to quarrel and sling hurtful words at one another. You wouldn't want to hurt my feelings, would you? Nocticula's smile turns predatory. No, I won't serve you. Bloodthirsty rage flashes across Nocticula's face, but she immediately regains her composure. Shrugging in a show of indifference. As you wish, you will still serve my plans and thwart two Hepsamira. Should be thwart Hepsamira, right? If you don't want to sail to Calafir on my ship, that's fine. Get your own. Swim there yourself, if it pleases you. So, sorry about that. An alarm go off. If you don't want to sail to Calafir on my ship, that's fine. Get your own. Swim there yourself if it pleases you. Alright, I read that. So, we've already met two captains. You have three options to get to Calafir. You can use Nocticula's ship, you can use the Incubus, or is it a Cambion? The guy in the flesh markets. Or you can use the more honest captain, which we met in the Bad Luck Tavern. And then, once Baphomet's daughter is dead, you'll try to close the world wound. You have no choice but to try, given your condition, which means I stand to win either way. I wish to inform you of treason. Nocticula looks quite amused. Is that so? Who is it you've decided to inform on? And more importantly, how did you learn of these traitors? How credible are these accusations? Shamira is researching the Nahindrian crystals in secret. Perhaps she is planning to overthrow you. A small smile appears on Nocticula's lips. How nice of you to warn me. I'm impressed. I do wonder, however, did you really think I was unaware of this? Or did you merely want to demonstrate your loyalty? Either way, I appreciate you telling me. I'll take this as proof that I can rely on you. You're very astute to uncover Shamira's desire to dethrone me, and it was particularly sensible of you to keep your mouth shut about the secrets of the Nahindrian crystals. I suppose your caution calls for a reward. At the snap of Nocticula's fingers, one of the servants approaches you and presents you with a delicate package wrapped in gossamer-like silk. Mining the Nahindrian crystals is a surefire way to sink the island that crystals are on to the bottom of Ishiar. I assume you understand why all who attempt to procure them on Elenithia were executed. At least you didn't tell Shamira about the mines you found. The last thing I need is the Ardent Dream burrowing under my capital. Why do you still tolerate Shamira? Someone has to deal with trivial matters. Shamira's betrayal was assured the moment I made her my favorite, just as Ithorians before her. The second always dreams of rising to be the first. I know the feeling well. A friend of mine, the storyteller, has peered into the future. In his vision, Hepsamira was sending demons after you. The demons were strengthened by Nahindrian crystals. A hint of dangerous excitement creeps into her voice. You are fond of knowledge, my dear guest. Let's just say I'm not surprised by her appetites. The ambitions of that brat, or her lecherous goat of a sire, were bound to surface sooner or later. But your warning will encourage me to keep a closer eye on her. You could have gone to Hepsamira with this, received a payment for your silence. Your foresight must not go unrewarded. The helmsman of the Bone Ship in Alusionaris port is a manifestation of Nahindri. He is looking for Nahindri's greatest treasure, whatever that is. I've had my eye on that ship for a while now, and you've joined his hunt for no other reason than to tell me about it, I'm sure. Nocticula chuckles. Still, you've made the right choice. Keep working for that parody of Nahindri. I'll find you when your search nears its conclusion. So she does play a part in that DLC as well. I've said everything I wanted to say. Nocticula nods graciously. There's a passage that leads from your realm to the lair of the Echo of Discari. I want to go there. Ah, so the Cricket's avatar has gnawed his way into my realm, has he? I can guess where he is. I received reports about unusual Descarite activity in the slums of the lower city. It won't be easy to break into the Echo's portal, but, as a sign of my affection toward you, I have my servants do it. Keep in mind, however, that such tampering is very difficult to conceal. When the portal is breached, the Echo will know. I killed Willidus, your court mage. Nocticula shows no hint of sadness. I'm aware of this, of course. It is lamentable in a way, since his fear of me was strong enough to make him impeccably loyal. However, his death is but a single move in a much larger game. In games like this, losing a few pawns is unavoidable. I want to ask you about other powerful denizens of the Abyss. Are you interested in one of my servants? Or do you wish for me to tell you something about your enemies? What is your relationship with Areelu? She works for me, isn't it obvious? Lady Vorlesh is very talented. She may be the most brilliant and capable mind ever to come from your plane. And the guile she used to betray one demon lord master after another impressed me so much that I offered her the position of my advisor on matters of magic. Naturally, the esteemed Lord Goat and Lord Locust don't know a thing about the betrayal of their faithful lackey, Lady Vorlesh. I plan to keep it a secret for a while longer. Betrayal is too strong a word. I opened the path to Galarian for those two, and I told them how to extract power from the Nahindrian crystals. That will suffice. Doesn't it bother you that Areelu serves another master? Nocticula smiles deviously. I'm not prone to jealousy. Let Discari think Lady Vorlesh serves him still. His bug brain seems incapable of sensing betrayal. As for Baphomet, he, like any talented liar, is most vulnerable when he's trying to deceive someone else. He was so pleased to have fooled Discari that he became blind to the treachery that was happening right under his snout. In truth, Lady Vorlesh's loyalty is mine alone. Loyalty is for fools. Shared interest. That is what rational minds rely upon. That and fear. No one in their right mind would oppose the Lady in Shadow. How did Areelu become your servant? When the World Wound was first opened, it only led to Discari's realm. But then there was another, more powerful breach. The wound expanded, and its paths now pass through my realm, and Baphomet's as well. Before long, all sorts of interlopers had heard about the power contained within the crystals here, and the Midnight Isles were soon overrun with agents from my new neighbors. They flouted my embargo, burrowing greedily into my rocks, stealing my crystals. The main culprit was one Areelu Vorlesh. She was the one who discovered the energies of Nahindrian crystals. I had captured her, and was about to carry out her agonizing execution, when Lady Vorlesh offered me something I desired even more than her death. She entered my service, and her main task since then has been to close the World Wound. Once it is sealed, my realm will once again be cut off from those of Baphomet and Discari, and their slaves will no longer be able to infiltrate my islands with such ease. Do you remember the Elven Archmage who used to serve you thousands of years ago? He's still alive. We know each other. Really? He was well past his youth even back then, and now, just how old is he? Can mortals even live that long? Well, apart from your immortal Aslanti. Say hello to him on behalf of the Lady in Shadow, and tell him that the one who replaced him has disappointed me immensely with his incompetence. No matter how hard he tried, he could never live up to my magnificent elf. You know, you managed to surprise me. A rare occurrence for someone who knows just about everything. With the bat of her eyelashes, Nocticula sends you a piercing gaze, one that feels like it's delving into the deepest corners of your soul. Are Baphomet and Ascari your allies? The goat and the locust? Allies is too strong a word for our relationship. Our connection was forged by circumstance, not out of a desire to deal with each other. When the world wound open, it tied your world to our realms. I did not join my armies with theirs, but I was forced into making peace with them, so as not to get bogged down in a tiring and distracting war. If I had the opportunity, I would have met them on my terms and expanded my territories, at their expense. Nocticula indulges herself with a thin smile. Unfortunately, this is not currently possible. By the way, one of them came to me with the offer of an atrocious alliance that involved conceiving little ones together. I'm still contemplating the specifics of my refusal. It needs to be clear and unambiguous. Her ensuing laughter is deep and musical, almost enchanting. So that's obviously Baphomet. He's known for, getting around. Everything is clear to me now. Nocticula just gives you a mysterious smile. I want to know more about you. Recounting my whole story would take longer than your brief mortal life allows. The list of demon lords I've slain is endless on its own, as is the number of islands under my rule. And that's just the past. There's also my future. How did you become a demon lord? Bear in mind that I have always been unique, ever since I was born. I was the first succubus of the Abyss, the perfect specimen of my race. I had been enjoying my youth, sharing it with my brother and lover, until the hungry gaze of the demon lord Nahindri fell upon me. The greedy tyrant saw me as a jewel to be added to his treasure hoard. He tried to abduct me. I knew I had no chance of defeating a demon lord, but in that moment, I was not thinking at all. I was fighting for my freedom. When it was all over, Nahindri was dead. I eviscerated him, and for many days afterward, blood spewed from his open carcass. First his body turned to stone, and then his blood, which had been flowing like a stream, began to crystallize into massive purple glaciers. Now do you see why they are called Nahindrian crystals? Perhaps they should be called Nocticulan crystals. Because as Nahindri's blood crystallized, so too did my understanding of my power. Soon after, I began my campaign of conquest. I was cunning and swift, the demon lords themselves trembled before me, knowing I could take their very lives. Only when all of the Abyss spoke my name with terror and reverence did I decide that I had killed enough. I had a realm, I had power I no longer shared with my brother, I had servants, and most importantly, I had safety. No one has ever repeated old Nahindri's mistakes. No one has tried to make me their slave. Are the Midnight Isles really the corpses of slain demon lords? Yes, my realm is quite literally built in the bones of my slain enemies. Ironic, isn't it? How did you turn the dead demon lords into islands? Nocticula responds with a mocking smile. Surely you don't expect me to reveal the secret to you. There's no need for mortals to learn the weaknesses of demon lords. All I can say is that everything started with my desire for revenge. After I dealt with Nahindri, I was furious at the thought of that vile, lecherous wretch just teleporting over to the Rift of Repose, where he could turn to stone and stay there to rot for the remainder of eternity. I wanted to trample his foul corpse, to keep his bloodied body within my sight forever. I yearned to display my glorious trophy to all of the Abyss, and that's when my power first manifested. I studied my newfound abilities, and learned how to use them. Before long, I possessed not just one island, but an entire archipelago. What do you plan to do next? Subdue all of the Abyss? Possibly. Or perhaps I have something grander in mind. The Abyss. Who cares about the Abyss? Nocticula's full-throated laughter rings out like a challenge to the entire world. I have no more questions. It's always nice to indulge one's curiosity. If I'm to depart for Calafir, you guards must watch over my camp in the Nexus, and all who are residing there. With a shrug, Nocticula responds coldly. Your behavior is insolent. You refuse to carry out my will. Why should I concern myself with a band of mortals that you happen to care about? Alright, I still have some business to take care of in Alushanira. Nocticula nods to herself. Areelu, you're no longer needed here. As you will, my lady. Areelu vanishes, but you notice the look in her eyes, pensive and appraising. You've taken a liking to my city, I see. Well then, savor it to the fullest, and come back for truly important business. Nocticula's lips part in a smile that is both predatory and alluring. Nocticula grants you a magnanimous smile. Are you finished with your business and ready to hunt down Hepsamira? Alright, I'm going to call it here, and next time, we have a little more business left in Alushanira, like tracking down the Echo of Discari. We also need to talk to the Hand of the Inheritor back in the Nexus. I'd like to go check in with Shamira and see if she has any new conversations. But for now, I'm going to call it here. So thanks for watching, and
always be ready for the worst.
hope to see you guys in the next one.